Hi, everybody. We are live on the new normal. Today is Wednesdays. We have Dr. Reg McDaniel with us talking about telomeres and the benefits of good nutrition that you can find through New Eden. So, be right back right after this. Am I sharing the wrong screen?
Meet again, and we've had 3 previous sessions. I had 2 introductions. One was the type of introduction that I have tried for virtually 30 years to take scientific and medical terminology, which is heavy in Latin and Greek terms that are not used in everyday language, and trying to simplify this. And I felt over the years that I try to put information on one side and it just flows out the other, very little sticking in the middle. So I did another one which I tried to relate to the ancient wisdom and insight that is in the Bible, because in the Bible there are scriptures, some from 5,000 and 2,000 years ago at least, that point out, and people believe in these, that the leaves of the trees and plants have molecules in it that are very powerful to support health. In fact, the Revelation quote is that the leaves of the trees shall be for the healing of the nations. Then I gave a general lecture that was taken from a presentation in Las Vegas for educators. And now I'm going to try to go to a more specific event that happened in the Chicago Cabrini Green housing project, the largest federal housing project in the United States. Another point I would like to make is that in the past I've worn a suit and a tie and tried to look like an expert or a professional, but during this pandemic I think the professionals have debased the public confidence and so-called experts. And so I've attempted to, shall we say, just let you know I'm just like you, that I've had different experiences. And as I have frequently said, I haven't did anything new. All I am is a messenger and a servant to share with you observations that have happened in different locations over and over again. So I think it gives us credibility. So at this point, we will go to the first slide of the Chicago brown bear experiences at Cabrini Green. This is an overview of what I'm going to to you. And we call it the Chicago Results Project. Showing that dietary supplementation containing micronutrients improves student attitudes and performance. Now, the whole topic is called the Brown Bears of Cabrini Green. And this was due to a production area in the mid-1990s. One of the founders of the International Dietary Supplement Company said we ought to make something that improved nutrition children would like. And at that time, the popular thing were gummy bears, little bear-shaped gelatin colors, morsels that children liked. And so he called the company that made the gummy bears, and they were very cooperative. They said all they had previously gotten were complaints about colors affecting some children, and that interfering with their eating proper meals, and they liked the idea of a healthy bear. So we sent a formulation to a small company in California, and back came some beautiful little colorful bears that supposedly had what we had for improved nutrition in them. And they went like hotcakes. Fact is, we suspected maybe some adults were eating just as many as the children. Fact is, we couldn't keep them on the shelf, so we finally had to go to a bigger company and sent the same formulation to them. And lo and behold, back came about $25,000 worth of brown bears that looked like dried raisins or prunes, and nobody wanted them. And we sat there in silence. There was a distributor in the Chicago area that heard about this, that had a history of attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity syndrome, and he had been helped greatly by more comprehensive nutrition for adults. And he knew about these brown bears, and he went to multiple public schools and in special education classes, and he was literally thrown out. They had no interest. However, the word got around Chicago, and this small church-sponsored school in the Brittany Green housing project called Israel had an Israel Academy, and they had, I'd say, about 50 or 60 children that had fallen through all the cracks of the public school system and were there in this relatively impoverished little private school called Israel Academy. I will share with you the first event. It was a parents' night, and then information that I'll share with you. We have this study published in Proceedings of the Fisher Institute. We have copies, and if you're interested in this, contact us. The best contact would be either when you're ordering one of the products on our website, or you can go directly to me, which is capital R and all the rest is lowercase, R McDaniel, McDaniel, just like Daniel in the lines. Then at Wellness West, ELLNESSUST.org. And well, I will send you a copy, but if you want a hard copy, we can include it in the package when you order Read, which will be the adult formulation, more comprehensive nutrition. I will, well, Luke, before we get through, I'll tell you about a Chicago regional meeting of this company where the little schools, 2 teachers and 4 girls came in to say thank you. And what came with that, and I'll share with you an article in Scientific American. It was an essay by 4 PhD academic educators about the agenda of American and actually international educators, and then we will terminate. So we'll go to the next slide. And the first thing that happened after the little Israel Academy is for years they had had parents' night, and in this environment, in the past, 0 parents showed up on attendance night. But after a semester of these brown bears and children, every child had a representative, at least one parent in attendance. And the reason they came was, as we point out here, it says, my child, I can't believe what's happening. With no prompting, they get home and they get out their books and do their lessons for the next day, and we don't have to harass them or anything. They do it on their own. Number 2, we know that they don't fight with their younger brothers, older brothers and sisters, or the neighbor kids, which was a constant factor in the past. We ask them to do something, and lo and behold, they do it. We ask them to stop some irritating activity, and they stop. They said, this is not what I'm used to with my child. I know him quite well, and this is a major difference. And their questions for coming to school was basically, what are you doing up here? Now, we had evaluation forms, and from the teachers' evaluations, you can see that they rated on the scale that's vertical from exemplary to average and intolerable, that conflicts at the school were about 70% of the time. And they dropped significantly. The teachers thought it was about no more than about a third, 34%. That the noise in the school was just terrible, particularly in the halls and class changes. And as you can see, they had said that was about an 88%, and that dropped to significantly to 56%. And then the disruptions in the classrooms, the interactions of the students with each other and with the teachers, all kind of distractions, were about 75%, and that dropped to, they estimated, about 36%, with nothing but brown bears or micro amounts of improved nutrition. Now, there were students that were so young that in group A and B, that they were too young to have grades. But there were 41 students in this private school that were getting grades. And they had their evaluations before and after the improved nutrition and the improvement in grade points that we will go into greater detail in a graphic form. Now, teacher ratings in the Israel Academy, ability of children to grasp facts. They figured that before improved nutrition, about 30% of it, and that increased to about 80%. That the participation of the students in the classroom constructively went from about half of them to about 71% of the time. About student-teacher cooperation improved. Student to student relationships and cooperation improved. There was an increase in homework being done and bringing it in done. The attention span of the students improved from 46 to 73%, and they felt like the learning environment of the school greatly increased. And there was an improvement in the grade point average of the school, which we'll get in more detail. As far as their grades, the 41 students' average grade was about a C, a little below C, 2.98, with C plus being 3. And there was an increase after it led to 3.6 million to 4, which is almost a B. That may not sound like much. However, in the United States, I believe it was in Kentucky, the governor appropriated several tens of thousands of dollars to implement what the education establishment said needed to be done to improve academic performance in that state. And they spent it, and they got zero improvement. The state of Wisconsin saw their data and said, oh, they didn't do it right. And they appropriated significantly more millions of tax dollars and did the same thing, implementing the agenda of the education establishment. And they said, looky here, we got just a little bit of improvement. It paid off. Well, the legislature was skeptical, so they brought in a third outside party auditing firm and went through all the data, and they said there was no improvement. Well, allegedly, in the state of California, they looked at the data from Kentucky and Wisconsin, and they said, oh, they didn't do it well, so they appropriated $1 billion to be spent over 10 years to reduce the average class workload from about 23 students per class to 17, more time on task, more testing and all. And in 5 years, they evaluated what they've been doing. They'd spent about half the money, and they could show no benefit in 5 years per this article in Scientific American. So just micro amounts of improved nutrition to increase the average grade point average almost a point is much more significant when you consider that it was virtually at no cost. This is the Israel Academy teachers' evaluation of 17 habits and attitudes and how they had improved. Now, the backs of the evaluation forms that each teacher had was a blank, and the teachers wrote things that happened in their classes, and there's one of them that particularly brought me to tears, and it's really etched on my heart, and I want to share it with you because it is an incredible insight into what more comprehensive nutrition for the biochemistry and physiology of the brain and how its function of the mind improves. Elmo came in from, according to this teacher, from recess, and he had some plastic brown glasses on, and she immediately jumped in and said, "Elmo, what are you doing with Elmira's glasses on? Put them on their desk and don't you touch them. You'll break them and their parents will be up here all over me." And he started trying to protest. She says, "Don't you backtalk me. You put those glasses on that desk." So he did it. In a few minutes, Elmira comes in and she has a pair of glasses on, just exactly like the pair that's on the desk. The teacher turns to Elmo and says, "Elmo, whose glasses are those you were wearing?" He says, "I tried to tell you, you wouldn't let me. They were my glasses." She says, "You've been in this school for 2 years and you never worn glasses. Why are you wearing?" He says, "Why should I wear glasses? I can't read." She says, "Why are you wearing glasses today?" He says, "I want to learn to read." And that is one of the biggest challenges to the human condition. Children are adults. You cannot educate individuals. Children are adults. You cannot improve society until there is a desire to improve. It's got to come from within, and that just was an incredible impact on me. In a few months, this dietary supplement company had a distributors conference in Chicago, and so 2 teachers and 4 little girls came and had a period before the group. And one of these little girls, like a pint-sized Oprah Winfrey, she went up to the microphone and she just commanded the attention of everyone like you would not believe. And she basically said, where we live, that when we go to school or go home, at least one of the times you'll hear gunshots. She said, where we live, the only people that have anything to speak of are selling drugs or prostituting. She says, however, now there's been a change. She says, I want to get my GED and go to college and major in journalism. And she says, my brother wants to go to special school and learn to be a mechanic, and my cousin wants to be an electrician. And from the audience, the voice rang out, why did you change your minds? She thought for a minute and she says, we can see that there's no future in all these other things, and there is a future with learning how to do constructive things. That has really stuck with me. And on my computer, I have a segment that this little girl went on and got her GED, got her credentials in journalism and now is a video journalist and has a wonderful website that I can share with you. And I have been told that she has actually done some work with the Disney group in California. And one of the other little girls, I'm told, is getting her education and wants to go to medical school. This is so significant. I have tried to impact this little girl that does the video journalism, that she should do a story on the brown bears of the Greeny Green and find out if there are others in the school and those 41 that aren't getting grades or any of those that have gone on to more constructive activity in society. Now, the education agenda that I talked about before, the National Education Association says basically there will be no academic improvements until there's more tax funding given to schools, that the class size should be less than 20. And in this article from Scientific American by 4 PhDs in education, they point out that in the international countries, that the top scoring country has an average class size of 90. I told you about the Kentucky, Wisconsin, and California experiences. They also want to spend the money and the time to get special master's degrees for teachers, to pay them more as master's degrees, to have less uniform testing of national type. There should be more classroom freedom and less rating of teachers' performance, because they say that the lack of student performance is not the teacher's responsibility, it's the parent in the home. And there should be more time on task, more school hours, more days, and of course more pay. Well, I think it's highly significant that with more comprehensive nutrition, almost homeopathic amounts of nutrition in these brown bears, that we got significant improvements. Now, the highest evidence-based science we've been able to get the funds to do was this paper published in the Journal of Alzheimer's in January of 2013. The title of this paper was the effect of allopolymannose, and that allopolymannose is allo-acetylated mannose, or ace-mannan, combined with other plant nutrient molecules, which is multi-nutrient complex, on cognitive and immune functioning in Alzheimer's disease patients. And point out that in this pilot study conducted at the Miller School of Medicine in Miami, Florida, in cooperation with the Miami Jewish Health Service, that they took Alzheimer's patients for 12 months, and there was a 69% response rate, 46% improved memory and cognition, 23% did not progress with their dementia, and the caregivers in the units reported 100% benefit, that all patients were happier, less hostile, which for this condition is legendary. They were more cooperative, had a better quality of life, easy to care for, and the environment of the entire unit was elevated because the caretakers had never seen improvements in patients before, and they looked forward to coming to work, whether they were dreading it, wondering what new event could happen. So this was the highest level of evidence-based science we've been able to do. Now, on my computer, I have published articles, 26 in number. I just gave you one of them. And it's a list of the titles and the authors with a small comment about each paper. It's not the actual paper. If you would like a copy of this, if you will send me an email to
That was some great information. I'm going to bring, whoops, I've got, let me grab that and stop it. That's on a loop right there. Let me bring Dr. McDaniel in to the chat and just have him get us all caught up. Dr. McDaniel, are you able to hear me okay?
I can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
Great. Yes. So we have a great connection today. Everything went well. That some of those stories, I know I've heard them a couple times, but they just strike me every time. The benefits and how it can change a child's life and change generations of a family by getting, good nutrition in them and giving them that opportunity of hope. For a whole community, it seemed like when you guys got in there with the Cabrini Green group and some of the others, it seems like when you were able to go into a group, have you had the same results? And I know you have because I've seen the emails, but have you seen the same kind of results when as individuals are experiencing good nutrition through New Eden? So it's not just a placebo effect type of thing. It's not that, this group was, because we know as you were saying, the mind is such a powerful thing. And so the group feeling like, we have this support, we have this good nutrition being poured into us and a group of people taking it. But you've also seen excellent results in individuals that were looking for good nutrition and using New Eden for that.
Well, let me respond to that. Down in the Houston area, there was a mother that contacted me who was very, very nervous. She had a teenage son that in high school and it had been going on for years. It was very difficult to deal with. A principal tried to discipline him, and he attacked him, tried to strangle him, and they put him in state prison.
Um,
And he was a problem at home. Anytime he was gone, he would just attack people if they crossed him in any manner, tried to get him to do anything, and she was desperate. We got him on this more comprehensive nutrition based on the wonderful stories we were hearing about in school. And lo and behold, you would have to hear the testimony she gave that he just became a typical impossible teenager and was just like other children and did not attack people anymore. So this led to people hearing about this. And I worked for about a year with a prison ministry in California that says, oh, we can get this into prison. We have these incorrigible inmates and all. And I said, what I want is the most difficult cell block in prison. I knew a little bit about this because in the past I had been a jail doctor at the Dallas County Jail, and I know how to stratify in different areas. I said, I want the worst prisoners you've got, and we want to give them more comprehensive nutrition to see if this might improve their ability to function socially. Well, they were very confident they'd be able to do this, but we worked for about a year, and the federal government or the state government, whichever it was, I'm not sure, said absolutely no research can be done on prisoners that are incarcerated, even if they volunteer. And so nothing came of this. But I was very disappointed because I have this wondering if we could possibly get more comprehensive nutrition across the country and into the world, if we could have more peace and tranquility and people getting along with each other instead of this thing is from the Bible. It says there will be wars and rumors of wars essentially forever. And in fact, this has been going on ever since I can remember. And it would be nice if we'd find a way to change this. And wouldn't it be incredible if more comprehensive nutrition would make us a human being that gets along with other human beings?
Well, if we could definitely, calm down and connect better, Uncle Cliff, Cliff High talks about us being frequency and how important it is, for our frequency. And that's how, we can connect with each other. Well, if our frequency is all off because our sugars and the crap we're putting in our body is, got us just off. And I think of all these children with autism, there's a huge fund that's being divvied out all over the state of Oklahoma that they're putting in, and they're putting in a lot of money for kids with autism. And I had a child who had Mia that passed away. She had behavioral issues that were never formally diagnosed as autistic, but had a lot of the similar issues that I saw with kids that were diagnosed as autistic. And I always thought of it as me being like her calming, or her kind of, that her frequency was off kind of for this world. And I wonder if we had an opportunity to, give her that good nutrition before she passed away, if that would have benefited her. And so, I think you had a study on kids with autism. I'm pretty sure.
We do have in the proceedings of the Fisher Institute, which we had for several years, multiple issues, and I have pointed out in the past, if people request on our website through you the current mixture or the formulation that we have put together that puts back into the modern diet nutrient molecules that used to be in the family garden and orchard when the plants were growing on soil that had up to 70 minerals in it. that optimize the nutrition of the plant so that they can make these phyto, and that's not FIDO like the dog, it's PHYTO for plant, phytonutrients that added to the assembly of bioactive molecules in cellular assembly or cellular synthesis that make them work better. And we would like to do that. And I'd like to point out again, I have a bibliography of 26 published papers, all supporting just in the function of the brain. And that's only one of multiple systems in the body that work better with more comprehensive nutrition. That's how it all works. And so I'd like to give that to you. And then when people place an order for this nutrition, if they will, in the comment section on the ordering thing, I think it says a place there for notes, tell us what their compromise in health is. If we have an issue that we have published in the past, a pilot study or case study, we will provide that if we know what their interest is. And so that is something we want to do for people, and if they will contact us. Another thing is I would like for people to send you questions, because I sit here trying to take what I think is important and give it to people, but people don't want to be molecular biologist or biochemist or some health professional. Their basic question is, what can this do for me? And if we get their questions, possibly we can be helpful. I will certainly be forthright with you. If you remember, the first question we got was, will this help hearing? Well, I had to tell you, in all the years that I've been in, this is the 36th year that I have been involved with the physiology and biochemistry of the active ingredient from the aloe leaf gel, which is ace-mannan or acetylated mannose, that is used in cellular synthesis to make bioactive molecules. And we will, if they order this and tell us what their problem is, we will look and see if we have something available to give you some confidence, because again, if you believe, it is very powerful. And believing and knowing that someone else maybe had your problem that was worse than you had it is very influential. And because between our ears, we have the brain, which its function is the mind, and what it believes and thinks runs everything in the body. And it can be very positive, or it can be very deleterious to your socialization, your relationships, and also to your health. They frequently try to downgrade this by calling it placebo effect. Well, if it's not a false effect, it's what the body can do on its own without support from pharmaceuticals or any medical procedure. And I frequently say, with more comprehensive nutrition supporting the engineering and design that is coded in the genes, we are maximizing the placebo effect. In other words, you don't need very expensive, and oftentimes it's exploitatively expensive in this day and time. The bottom line is, we can decrease healthcare costs by what I call, this is another name, personal, preventive, and interventional health management through more comprehensive nutrition to support the engineering and design of life that's in genes, which attempts to move the biochemistry and the physiology to the normal zone if it's possible. This is not something I came up with. Dr. Hans Selye, given to be the credit to be the father of human physiology, called this balance zone of normalcy homeostasis. That's what the genes are programmed for, kind of like thermostat on your wall of your house or climate control in your car. It will turn on air conditioning if it gets too hot. It will turn on the heater if it gets too cold to find comfort for what you dial in you want. Well, the genes are not designed for comfort. They're designed to try to move the biochemistry and physiology to a zone of balance called homeostasis. And in homeostasis, you do not have deviations from normal. We do not treat, cure, or mitigate disease or syndromes or correct abnormal diseases or health status. What we do is just support through nutrition the programming in the genes to try to get into balance or the homeostatic zone. And it is incredibly powerful. It's effective. And as I frequently say, the economy rattles the cage of health planners and medical experts, and certainly politicians who never dreamed that improved health could be lower in price and doesn't have toxicity and side effects like chemicals made to interfere with the engineering and design of life to reduce symptoms. In fact, an ideal drug is you improve symptoms as long as you take it. If you quit taking it, the symptoms will come back. Well, this nutrition addresses the cause of pain, the cause of deviations from normal, to try to move it to normal balance through nutrition.
Well, thank you so much. I know that is a lot of information for people to take in, but I think you did a great job presenting, and I look forward to gathering questions. So if you guys are watching this back, make sure to put questions in the comments below this video, and I'll go back, and the next time we have Dr. McDaniel on, I'll present him with those questions so that we can definitely hear what you guys want to hear from him. I want to get more information about the telomere results that you're seeing. Not that the telomeres are getting longer, but that the new telomeres showing up are longer, I think is the way it was stated in the last email. I think I got that right.
That is the gold standard for anti-aging research. And I'll just briefly say that daily intake of more comprehensive nutrition with formulation that we built around the active ingredient from aloe, at this point, early in our examination, elongates the telomeres, and there are excellent papers published that people that live to be 100 or more have long telomeres. Families where people tend to die between, say, between 55 and 65 or 70 have short telomeres. So the quality of life and longevity appears to be directly related in human beings to the length of the caps of the telomeres on the end of their chromosomes. There are 46 pairs of chromosomes, or 23 pairs of them, and on the ends of them they have a little cap called a telomere, and the longer it is, apparently the more good health and more years of life you have, because every time the cells divide, the telomeres get shorter if you don't have more optimal nutrition and have a satisfactory lifestyle. That means broad nutrition, positive thoughts, and exercise. Fact is, before our calendar started, the father of Western medicine called Hippocrates wrote, if we could provide to the patient optimal nutrition and exercise, not too much, not too little, we would have found the safest pathway to good health. Safest pathway to good health. And beneath this, he wrote that your food be your medicine and your medicine your food. That's what we're talking about. And it's been altered in the modern food supply, and all we do is restore a broader supply of nutrient molecules to support cellular synthesis of bioactive molecules that attempt to move the body to balance.
Yes. Well, I'd love to, maybe next week we can talk about the specific ingredients that are in New Eden, each one of them, and go through each ingredient and the benefits of them. I think that might be really helpful for people to see what's in New Eden and the benefits of those and why that's how
Well,
that's.
I can do this, and
Yeah,
and
might
I
be a
want
great
to also
presentation for us.
periodically provide some of the observations and even things that have been published, just like what we were just talking about
Mhm.
is published in Fisher Proceedings about the brown bears of
Yeah.
Carina,
Cabrini green. Yes, Cabrini green. Yeah.
Chicago, which was really marvelous and has a lot of applications that other private schools, unfortunately, public schools have avoided this like the plague, but there have been
Well,
multiple small private schools that have shown this. And as I said, as you mentioned, we have a paper. If you're interested in it, I'll send you a copy, that same address I've given you, of a study that was done in Massachusetts by a counselor with a group of autistic children and the improvements. This has all been published.
it's amazing, amazing work, amazing research. I'm so grateful to have found you and New Eden. If you guys want more information, check out my link in the description below. If you're watching this later and have a question, please leave a question in the comments. I will go back this week and collect those and post them for Dr. McDaniel next week. And we'll talk about some ingredients next week, as well as some other amazing stories of people improving with good nutrition from New Eden. So thanks so much. We will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you.